At last year's by-election in Richmond, who offered the Green Party £250,000 to stand aside in favour of the Lib Dems?
I don't know the name of the person. I know of the incident that you're talking about, but it happened after the decision had already been taken to stand down and the money was not accepted. So any kind of implication that we were standing down in order for money is absolutely wrong, categorically wrong. It happened after the decision was taken and the money was not accepted.
But somebody did offer £250,000.
I believe so. I didn't speak to them directly, but that is my understanding.
But as joint leader of the party, somebody offers your party £250,000, you don't know who it is?
I don't remember the name. I've heard the name, but the point was it went through our ethical checks. It didn't pass our ethical checks. The money was not accepted.
But your candidate did stand aside.
The candidate had already decided to stand aside, as indeed the candidate has decided again, because essentially what we had in the Richmond by-election was the chance to oppose Zach Goldsmith, who had been running a very racist campaign in London, and we wanted to try to get somebody in there who was going to support electoral reform.
Except, and I'm sure you will have seen it, the Guido Fawkes website has a leaked internal document from your Richmond party saying that party staff from the centre added pressure on local activists and said that there was, quote, an offer of a large donation conditional on the party demonstrating its desire for a progressive alliance.
Andrew, this has all been completely exposed as being two or three annoyed people in the Kingston party, in fact, not the Richmond party, who didn't agree with the decision to stand down. And as a result, they put out a document that has been absolutely criticised, condemned by our Green Party council. It looked into this. There was an independent investigation into it, which absolutely said that there was no substance to the claims there.
So you're saying that the local chairman of the Kingston Green Party and two other members have made this up?
I think they have either been misled themselves or they've been misinformed, or somehow false information is in that document. That is what our regional council independently declared. One of them, I think, has already gone off and joined the Labour Party. You know, instead of going over something that isn't really a story...
This is quite important. I mean,
it isn't important, but it's not true.
That if this was true of another party,
if it were
they had
true,
been
Andrew,
offered £250,000 to do something, you would be the first to condemn that kind of approach.
I certainly would. And that's why I'm so robustly challenging, as I have done all along the way, what was in that report. It was absolutely wrong. The decision to stand down...
You don't even know who offered the donation.
Andrew, I don't remember the name because I've never spoken to the person.
Remember? I mean, you don't get offered £250,000 every day,
because we turned it down, Andrew. We turned it down because it did not meet our ethical standards.
This person could well come back and offer up money in a different context. Now, if he's offering money that don't meet your standards, you would need to know who that person is.
The party knows who it is. I'm saying I'm very sorry, Andrew. I don't have that name. I came on to talk about the importance of defeating the Tories, who are going to be on course for a landslide Tory victory if we don't get our act together on the left. And that is what I would love to talk about, because it's incredibly urgent and important.
This is still a matter that needs to be cleared up as well.
Well, I've cleared it up for you, Andrew. It is completely false. The regional council has said it's false.
But since you don't know who it is, you're therefore not able to tell
the man's name for the purposes of this debate.
If this money has come in another way.
I know perfectly well it hasn't, because our chief executive is all over this. Of course it hasn't.
It was the chief executive, according to the report, that the alleged offer amount of £250,000, the order to stand aside, came on the instruction of the chief executive.
That is completely false. And, you know, the idea that we're spending minutes of valuable national airtime talking about a report by three people who have absolutely categorically been shown to be not telling the truth, either by design or by accident, is a real shame, because we should be talking about the fact that by working together...
Now let's return to the Greens, because when Caroline Lucas, the Greens' other co-leader, was last on the programme in May, we discussed with her a £250,000 donation that the party was offered and the decision for the Green candidate not to stand in the Richmond Park by-election. Andrew asked Caroline Lucas if she knew the name of the proposed donor. Let's just have a look back at that clip.
I don't know the name of the person. I know of the incident that you're talking about, but it happened after the decision had already been taken to stand down and the money was not accepted. So any kind of implication that we were standing down in order for money is absolutely wrong, categorically wrong. It happened after the decision was taken and the money was not accepted.
But somebody did offer £250,000.
I believe so. I didn't speak to them directly, but that is my understanding.
But as joint leader of the party, somebody offers your party £250,000, you don't know who it is?
I don't remember the name. I've heard the name, but the point was it went through our ethical checks. It didn't pass our ethical checks. The money was not accepted.
But your candidate did stand aside.
The candidate had already decided to stand aside, as indeed the candidate has decided again, because essentially what we had in the Richmond by-election was the chance to oppose Zach Goldsmith, who had been running a very racist campaign in London, and we wanted to try to get somebody in there who was going to support electoral reform.
Caroline Lucas there. Well, Jonathan Bartley, as you heard, your colleague there, very firm in saying that Andre Fries, the candidate for that by-election, had already decided not to stand. That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct.
But the timing actually now looks slightly more suspect, because you said that there would be a Green Party report into this incident published after the general election. We've been given a copy of that report, and in the timeline of events, it says that your candidate, Andre Fries, withdrew on the very same day the donation was offered, which was the 1st of November 2016. So, what, she literally stood down just hours before you got the offer of the donation?
Well, I'm not quite sure what report. I mean, if it's the report that was produced about 4 or 5, 6 weeks ago and leaked onto Guido, I mean, I think that report has actually been pretty much categorically rubbish, but I'm not sure what actual report you're talking about.
I mean, here it says, on the same day as Andre Fries, the candidate, said that she wasn't going to stand, she was going to withdraw from the selection. It's also the same day, according to this leaked report, that the person who contacted you offering £250,000 made that offer.
I can tell you categorically that when I found out about the donation being offered, I already known that Andre Fries had decided to stand down, and I'd been told days before.
Do you know the name of the donor? I mean, Caroline Lucas said she couldn't remember. I mean, it was a big amount of money that was offered. Yes, it was turned down, but you don't know who the proposed donor is.
Don't know who the proposed donor is. And, of course, the decision was made before the donation was refused. We have checks and balances within the party. As a committee that makes the decisions, it's not within the gift of the leadership to accept or reject a donation. And, there is no link.
Right. I mean, the nominations to be the Green Party candidate, Jonathan Bartley, closed the day before you were offered that money. So Andre Fries decided to stand one day, and then the next day she decided to withdraw that application. That is a bit coincidental, isn't it? Why put your name forward and then change your mind the next day?
I know Andre very, very well, and I think she was the only person that was going forward. She was the natural person to be the candidate.
But why did she change her mind in 24 hours?
She didn't change her mind in 24 hours. I think she'd made the decision quite a time before. I know she'd been thinking about it for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks before, because I'd had those conversations with her as she was working it through and trying to support her in that. As you know, the idea of the Progressive Alliance was very, very strong. It's something that Caroline and I both pushed very, very
I understand. It's just that you're saying that this is probably not an accurate timeline of events, but if it is, then it looks as if she put her name forward, she then withdrew it the next day within hours of you being offered that donation.
Well, I can only tell you why she did it. You've got to take her word for it. I mean, I can't see why you'd carry on kind of pushing this line when it's absolutely clear that she made the decision days before, and there's no link to the donation, which we refused.
Right, that is your report, but I'm not sure it's as clear as you think.